high school football on WCIA 3.
Football is everything. Hey, hey, let's go.
This is the Shaw Lux Friday Football Fever Playoff Preview Show.
It is the most wonderful time of year for high school football fans. The playoffs are upon us, and we are back for year 8 of the Friday Football Fever Playoff Preview Show. Bret Beherns here with you for the next 30 minutes. We'll hear from Andy Olson and Brice Bement coming up as we get set to kick off in Week 10 for the nearly 3 dozen WCIA3 viewing area teams playing for a state title. The stars of the show back with us again, Hall of Fame coaches Mike Allen and Stan Wienke. Guys, I know this time of year is always so much fun for you. How do you assess what you've seen so far from the brackets?
It's an exciting time of year. You see the brackets come out on Sunday morning and the newspapers, and there's a lot of good first-round matches, 6, 4, and 5 teams. So a lot of non-traditional pairings up on that first round, so it's very exciting at this time.
This year is a lot of the traditional powers aren't sitting there at 9-0 and 8-1 like they have been, and a lot of the teams that have been sort of looking in are now coming up to them, so we're getting a little equality maybe.
All right, fun to see. 256 teams across the state qualify for Week 10. 35 from the WCIA3 viewing area, including 3 unbeaten teams: Maroa Forsyth, Arthur Lovington, Atwood Hammond, and Rochester. And an interesting note here, as Mike mentioned, 6, 4, and 5 teams who make the field. Unprecedented stuff. All right, let's get to the brackets. We'll start in Class 1A and work our way up. Here is the 1A North slate. Gibson City, Melvin Silly, the only local team in here. You see them down here as an 11 seed taking on Aurora Christian. And Mike, you know them well. After starting the season 5-1, they've lost 2 of 3, though. What do you make of them coming in?
I believe we haven't played our best football at GCMS yet, and I believe they are prepared this week. Coach will have them ready, Coach Augsburger, and I have them going deep into the playoffs. They are getting healthy, and they're going to be exciting to watch in the playoffs.
We head south in 1A. 5 teams appear here. Cumberland, an 11 seed at the bottom, taking on Casey Westfield. Salt Fork gets a home game. The Storm will face West Central. We focus our attention on the middle portion of the bracket here. Tuscola, a 13 seed, taking off All-Talk Catholic, Leroy, and Villa Grove. And Stan, you know Tuscola well. What do you think of them?
Well, I think as Mike said, Tuscola hasn't played their best ball yet, but they've gotten better every week. We started early, had quite a few really good seniors, but we were mixing a lot of really young kids in with them, and I think they're starting to get the picture now. So tough game with Althoff, but they've got some weaknesses that we can attack, and I think we've got some that they can attack.
At least how these guys seeing it play out. They're our experts, so we'll believe them. Stan, we'll start with you. Here's your final 4. Who do you like to win it all here in 1A?
Well, I think Leno. They've just got so much talent. They've got so much tradition. Althoff is there, but I don't know. They play a lot bigger schools, Althoff does, but I just don't think he can beat the experience that Lena's got.
All right, Mike, you have a similar Final 4 here, but you've got GCMS making it all the way to the semis. Someone's going to call you a homer.
I am a homer.
Okay.
You have to support your guys. I believe I have them going to the semifinals, but Lena Winslow, there's years that Lena Winslow is the best team in 1 through 3A, I believe. And I don't think this year's any difference. I think them in 1A, it just is a tough draw for anyone, and I have them as our champion.
All right, and Althoff Catholic there as well facing them. Goes into playing that tough draw for Tuscola. All right, there is a major change for the state championships this season, with the IHSA electing to move all 8 state title games to Normal and Illinois State University at Hancock Stadium. WCIA3's Andy Olson shows us around, gives us a sneak peek of what to expect Thanksgiving weekend.
There's definitely no place like home. That's what the IHSA believes as they're bringing back the state football finals here to where it all began in Normal. We're not here specifically inside the brand new indoor practice facility, but we'll have more on that in a second. 1A through 8A will be back out on the turf at Hancock Stadium once again, where they played for 25 years between 1974 and 1998. The IHSA fielded several bids to host the finals, but ISU officials tell me their bid was successful in large part thanks to this bubble. The newly opened $11.5 million indoor practice facility will be put to good use in the last weekend of November, providing teams a larger space to warm up away from the elements. Normal is the new pinnacle of high school football in the land of Lincoln through at least 2027. That's how long their deal with the IHSA is set to last. But if all things go their way, ISU officials tell me they'll want to keep it here a whole lot longer. Reporting in Normal, Andy Olson, WCIA 3 Sports.
Andy, thanks. Looking forward to it. You can watch all 8 state championship games live over the air on our sister station, WCIX 49, November 24th and 25th. 2 full days of high school football from ISU as the state's 16 best teams compete for those 8 coveted state title trophies. Maroa Forsyth watched the bracket release show live on WCIX 49 on Saturday. The Trojans went 9-0 in the regular season for the 7th time under head coach Josh Joseph, and they go in the north portion of the bracket for the 2nd straight year, this time as the number 2 seed. After falling in the semifinals last year, the senior-laden Trojans hungry to make another deep run.
Just keep doing what we've been doing. We play at our pace, we play fast and physical, and we know that if we play our A game, we're going to be tough to beat.
If we value the ball, if we're physical on defense, then we've got a chance to beat anybody. If we don't do those things, we've got a chance to lose to anybody because everybody's good now.
All right, here's a look at that north bracket in 2A. You see Maroa Forsyth there in the middle. More on them in just a moment. Bismarck hitting Rossville Alvin here as well. They are at the bottom as an 11 seed taking on Farmington. We're going to focus our attention here on Westville and Rockridge. Both teams 8-1, an 8-9 game, Mike. This is really, really tough. Maybe a second quarterfinal round game you're seeing in round 1.
You go 8-1, you expect to face a team usually 5-4, 6-3 typically. This is a tough draw for Westville. Any team that is coached by Guy Goodlove is very physical and defensive-minded, but Taylor Rockridge is loaded. The conference they play up north is loaded, very physical. So I gave Rockridge the edge in this game. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a very physical game, but I gave it to Rockridge.
Looking forward to that one. Here's the south portion of the 2A bracket. Not quite the firepower. Record-wise, at least, of that north portion. Arthur Lovington, Atwood Hammond, the only undefeated team. More on them coming up. Pana in their quad as well as a 9 seed. There you see Shelbyville as a 2 seed after a great season for them. Auburn towards the bottom half of the bracket there as well. Stan, how do you bounce back if you're Shelbyville? They go 8-0. They lose in that week 9 game, and now you're coming into the playoffs coming off your first loss of the season.
Well, I think Coach Duck will have him ready to go. Billy was my JV coach when I coached at Shelbyville, so I'm very close to Billy. I think he'll be fine in that game. The game I'm worried about is if they have to play Lawrenceville, because Lawrenceville's switched to the old wishbone triple option, which is hard to stop.
And you have Shelbyville advancing here to play Lawrenceville and even moving on into a quarterfinal game against Johnston City.
I think they'll be fine. They've got Brody Bame is a very good dual threat quarterback, likes to throw the ball to his brother, and they've got a pretty stingy defense.
All right, we mentioned ALAH. The Knights, fresh off their first 9-0 regular season since 2004. That was also the last time the program won a conference championship. Their reward, a Quincy Notre Dame team that played in Class 4A last season. The success multiplier dropped off, the reason why the Raiders now in 2A, getting in as a 4-5 team. 49 playoff points, that's remarkable. The Knights have 36 to reference. ALAH knows it is in for a big test.
We're looking going in, or at least I was thinking, it'll be a 5-4 team, kind of a drop off, but to have such a good challenge right at the start, it'll set a tone.
Yeah, I like being overlooked, but I mean, we've earned some respect, I think, this year. We'll give them a fight.
Not an ideal situation here for ALAH. Mike, Stan, how would you approach this if you were coaching the Knights, knowing that you've got a really, really tough opponent in week 1 as a 1 seed?
I would really continue feeding off of last Friday night's victory over Sullivan, who was 8-1. Finished the season 8-1. I would continue with that, and just tell our guys, both teams have to line up and play the game. So there's nothing to worry about. The pressure, is really on them.
And playing a team like that, you might as well play them now. The way I look at it.
All right, Stan, we've got your bracket here. You've got the Raiders going to the quarterfinals. I know this is really tough to see an Arthur Lovington Atwood Hammond team that's been so good, so much history this season. But as we advance it here, you've got Quincy continuing on. And look, they're a really good team, play a lot of Missouri teams and a lot of teams that are a lot bigger enrollment-wise than they are.
They're about as playoff ready as you're going to get any team in this bracket that we're going to see today.
We will start with here. You've also got Quincy Notre Dame and another team in 2A, Central Catholic, that I think is really, really good, won the Illini Prairie.
It's a very tough bracket, and I have Tri-Valley going to the final. I learned last year not to go against Josh Roop. He is an amazing coach. But you have Quincy Notre Dame. They played Muhammad Seymour to a 12 or 14-28 score this year, a 2A school playing them. So they're going to be a tough out, but I give the advantage to Tri-Valley in the end. All
right, Stan, your Final Four looks somewhat similar here as well. You've also got Bloomington Central Catholic. You've got Athens and Shelbyville, an all-local matchup there in the bottom half.
Got them in the bottom. I think that'll be a very good game. I've seen Athens a little bit on film as well as Shelbyville playing them. But I think Athens will probably come out at that point And I like Bloomington Central Catholic and Athens in the championship game.
Yeah, Central Catholic, a loaded team. They're also in 2A, traditionally have played a bigger school amount than that. The first two brackets are in the books. Still 4 more to come here on the Friday Football Fever playoff preview show. We tackle Class 3A next, and for Sullivan-Okaw Valley, it has been a long time coming.
It's been great for the past year and a half, and I just think we've came so far as a team.
More from the Redskins next. We're back looking at the Class 3A bracket. This has the most area teams in it with 9 represented, but only 2 on the north side. Paxton Buckley Loda getting in at 5-4. We also see Prairie Central there, a 14 seed, taking on number 3 North Lawndale Charter. All right, let's go to the south end. A whole lot more here to work with for our WCIA 3 viewing area teams. You see Monticello there getting a 16 seed. They're in the field for the 14th straight year under Coley Welter, and an all-local matchup right below that, an 8-9 game with Williamsville and Unity. And Mike, last year this was a semifinal game. 2 years ago it was a quarterfinal game. Now we've got this in the first round. What a great first round matchup.
This is probably one of the best matchups in the whole bracket, all the brackets. Same place as they were last year, same ratings. Dane Eisminger, though, quarterback, a sophomore for Unity, has had a great season with his legs and his arm. And Unity, they have 2 losses, St. Joe and BCC, but Scott Hamilton will have those guys playing well in the playoffs, and look forward to them to make a deep run. We'll
get your prediction on how far Unity is going to go out of that. You've got Unity in the game. We'll see how that works out coming up. On the bottom half of the south side, Paris will make the long trip to Roxana here. There at the bottom, St. Joseph Ogden and Carlinville as well. And St. Joseph Ogden gets a home game. They have 7 wins in the regular season for the first time since 2015. And Mike, like we mentioned, you're making a lot of friends here with Unity and St. Joe as you've got this a semifinal game. Look at this way out here.
I do. I just believe Coach Hamilton's kids are ready. You know, that they have to have that game from last year's semifinal game circled on their calendar, waiting for round 1. And I just hope they keep the momentum going.
Meanwhile, Sullivan-Okaw Valley is the 5 seed in the South. The Redskins, one of the great stories in this year's state playoffs. A Week 9 loss to ALAH, the only thing keeping them from 9-0. A far cry from just a few years ago when the program struggled to win just 1 game. Last fall, SOV snapped a 32-game losing streak that spanned 4+ seasons dating back to 2016. Now it's back in the postseason, feeling good about how far it's come.
It means everything. As a freshman, coming in, the program wasn't in the greatest shape. Our program's been great for the past year and a half, and I just think that we've came so far as a team.
It's unreal, actually, because, last year we just missed playoffs barely, and then the year before that we didn't even have varsity. So we're just taking bigger and bigger steps each year continuously.
Sullivan-Okaw Valley will see Clinton in the first rounds. The Maroons back in the playoffs there for the first time since 2019. You saw them this season in person, and you like the Maroons to pull the upset there, Stan.
Yeah, I do. I think they play a little bigger competition. I think that Sullivan-Okaw Valley will find out maybe the Lincoln Prairie is not quite as good as the CIC was from top to bottom. So I think Clinton may get them here.
All right, time for our 3A Final Four. Stan, what do you see going on a deep run here?
Well, I think Byron's can just get in the car and drive over there by themselves. I don't see them. DeCoin is probably the one in the finals that would give them a challenge. But Byron, their statistics and the stuff that they've put on the board are just mind-boggling.
Here you go, Unity St. Joe. That's our semifinal game. You've also got Byron and Montini there. Who do you got winning it all here between those two schools?
I have Unity. I have Unity the whole way. And I believe that this is the year that they're going to get their opportunity to win that state championship.
3 classes in the books, but still 3 more to come, including another long streak snapped.
It's still hard to comprehend it, because it's been so long.
The drought is over for Lincoln, with the Railers playing their first playoff game since 1984. We'll hear from them next. We are on to 4A and the Friday Football Fever playoff preview show. Just 6 area teams in the field here, led by Rochester at the top, capping another undefeated 9-0 regular season. That's the 5th time it's happened under head coach Derek Leonard there. And oh yeah, they're 8 state titles as well. Don't forget about those, guys. More on that matchup in a moment. We're zeroing in on the 3rd quad here to start. Charleston back in the playoffs for the first time since 2012. That was also the last time Bryant Halsey was there. He's now back with the program. And Mike, you've got the Trojans winning a couple games here.
I do. I believe, they lost 2 games this year against Mahomet Seymour and Mount Zion, 2 tough teams. And I believe they're playing good ball right now. And I have them going in a couple of rounds here.
Getting to Week 10, certainly notable for Charleston, but It's an even bigger deal for the players and coaches in Lincoln. It has been a long time coming, nearly 4 decades in the making, and as WCIA3's Brice Bement shows us, the Railers say they are ready for their moment.
Lincoln is making school history. After 39 years, the Railers have punched their ticket to playoffs.
It's still hard to comprehend it, you know, because it's been so long, but us making it, you know, will forever be in Lincoln's history, and it's a great feeling.
Amazing. It's like something no one really, a lot of people didn't expect, and like some people were doubting us, so like, yeah, I mean, it just made it real sweet.
And it wasn't an easy road. After falling just short last year, the 19 seniors on Lincoln decided this season would be the year.
Most of us, this is our last time putting the pads on, so we had to, you know, come out prepared and get the job done.
Incredible feeling. You know, just very proud of our kids, you know, our players. They've worked so hard, you know, for 4 years, and to get to this moment, it's always been their goal since they walked in the door here. And
with a 5-4 record, the 16-seeded Railers know they have their hands full against top seed Rochester in round 1, a team that blew them out earlier this season. But Lincoln head coach Matt Silkowski says they're taking a different approach this week.
We didn't really have a good week of practice. We didn't prepare as well as we should have and could have for an, you know, opponent of, you know, Rochester like that. So we got to have a better week of preparation, and we got to execute better and, you know, play better offensively and defensively.
I think our team is very, very underestimated. When we're working together, we're a really solid team, just like the Jacksonville game. You know, we were projected to lose that by 3 touchdowns, and we came out and beat them by a couple. So I think if we prepare really good, you know, game plan good, I think we could shock some people.
And with that underdog mentality, the Railers say they're ready to show what they can do Friday night. Reporting in Lincoln, I'm Brice Bement, WCIA3 Sports.
Lincoln, certainly a great story, Stan, but the Railers lost to the Rockets 55-0 earlier this season. And you're a believer in Rochester going a long way here, getting out and facing a Mount Zion team here in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, Rochester, you know, 8 state titles. You know, I'm thinking they're going to get number 9. The kids that are on their campus now and on the team have never played for a state champion or played in a state championship and won it. So I think that'll definitely be a big thing.
And Stan, you've got them not only making the championship game, but winning it all here. Here is your Final Four from the North and the South. Kewanee there, and you say Rochester, they are rolling.
Yeah, I think Wheaton Academy will come through. They've been a very well-established playoff team as well. But Rochester, this is just a normal thing for them.
Right.
But with the kids not winning a state championships on there, I think that they're going to be more emotional and jacked up than they've ever been.
Here is your Final Four. Richmond, Burton, IC Catholic. There's Rochester and Kewanee there, so similar at the bottom. Who do you see coming out here on top?
I see Rochester coming out on top. I just, like Coach says, tradition breeds tradition, and they are a team that is destined.
They only 3 teams in this field, all in the South. 6-3, MacArthur there at the bottom, traveling to Metamora. That one should be fun. Sacred Heart Griffin is in the playoffs for the first time in the post-Ken Leonard era. John Allison has them there as a 9 seed, and Muhammad Seymour as well. Guys, how do you play this out as Muhammad Seymour, a 4 seed, going on against Troy Triad?
To get back here this time, but they've got a rough draw here. They're, you know, when you get into the Peoria in the second round, this is a little tougher than it was last year, I think.
Playing in 5A, always tough. Mike, admittedly, a lot tougher to predict the bigger classes as a whole because we just don't see a lot of these northern teams. But this is where you've got here Sycamore, Prairie Ridge, Morris, and Providence Catholic. Who do you got coming out in 5A?
I have Morris coming out. I lived in Morris for 5 years, saw the program, seen what they did while I was there. They always ran into Gillette Catholic, teams like that, but they are a traditionally powerhouse in football.
5 brackets down, just 1 to go. And we hear from Danville as the Vikings have already been in win-or-go-home mode for the past 3 weeks.
High school football is everything.
We have made it to our final bracket. Class 6A features 3 area teams. Glenwood, a 6 seed hosting Bloomington. Centennial makes a long trip to Crete-Monee. Mike likes the upset there for the Chargers. And then we have got Danville as well. And the Vikings, 5-4 with a road trip to 8-1 Washington. Danville started the season 1-3 before winning 4 out of their final 5 games to punch a ticket to the postseason. Playing with their backs against the wall, something the team says it's more than comfortable with. And they know they'll be the underdog against the Panthers, whose only loss came to Kankakee, the top seed in 6A South.
Losing meant going home, so we kept that in mind, and we went back to the fundamentals of things, making sure that we're doing the little things right, working as a team.
And if we believe in ourselves, no matter how big the team may look, and this Washington team has some linemen that are pretty big, but if we just continue to play the way we do, and continue to be as physical as we've been, we're going to give ourselves a chance to really compete with them.
Danville at Washington is Friday night at 7. All right, Mike, you like this Washington team to do some damage. You've got them as your state champ, making it all the way out here in 6A.
I do. This is Coach Crouch's final season at Washington. Declared it at the beginning of the season, and they've just been playing with a lot of passion, a lot of heart all year, and I don't think those kids will want him walking off that field without that championship trophy.
Stan, you've got Washington in the semis, but you're keying in on East St. Louis here to punch its ticket to state.
East St. Louis has so much talent and so much speed. They usually petition up every year to play a higher class so that they're not playing. They could be probably playing lower than this, which is a good thing for some people that are here.
Meanwhile, the 8-player football playoffs also start this week. 16 teams across the state made the cut, and St. Thomas More is the top seed. Milford Cissna Park, the other local team in the fold here in 8-player football. The 4th-seeded Bearcats host Pawnee. The Sabres capped off an undefeated regular season to earn that top billing. STM is led by Peace Boomba, 6'1", 195-pound tailback and defensive back, having an outstanding season with more than 1,900 all-purpose yards, scoring 30 touchdowns. On defense, Boomba has 139 tackles to go along with 9 tackles for loss.
We're just going to come into this playoff season with some grit. Last year we fell short in the semifinal, and that put a chip on our shoulder. So we're just going to piggyback on that.
Everyone's got to be all in, not just Peace. That everyone, the line's obviously been doing incredible. Those numbers, the line gets a ton of credit for that. So that helps him, hit the holes. So it's easy. I think I could run behind a couple of those holes even at my age.
I'd kind of like to see that. St. Thomas More hosts Bushnell Prairie City Saturday at 2. That's going to do it for the Friday Football Fever playoff preview show. For Andy Olson and Brice Bement, our Hall of Fame coaches, guys. So much fun as always. Thanks so much for coming in. Hope you enjoyed the show. Enjoy the playoffs. State final is going to be here before we know it. Good night.